Hey, Nines, welcome to Monday's lesson. Today we're going to take a look at inequalities, and I'm sure you've seen some of this stuff before in primary school and possibly year 7 and 8 as well. All inequalities is these two symbols. You might have the little line underneath, depending on what you're talking about. So if you want to have a go before we even begin, feel free to pause the video and see if you can fill out this first section. All right, let's get to it. So these symbols just point to the smaller number, right? Or the crocodile eats the bigger number. I personally prefer the inequality symbol, to point to the smaller. So here we know 2 is smaller than 3, so we would point it to the 2. What? Like so. Yeah. Let's, oh, damn it. Why won't this? We'll try this again. For B, -1 versus 4, well, we know -1 is smaller because it's on the negative side. -7 versus -3. Remember, when we're dealing with negatives, the number that is closer to 0 is always larger. So -7 is smaller than -3 because -3 is closer to 0. 5 versus -50, well, we know -50 is way smaller because that's way past 0, okay? Whereas 5 is well above 0, and like so. Now that we understand what the signs mean and which way they point, remember they point to the smaller number, here's how we show it on a number line. Okay, so for A, if it's talking about x is less than 4, well, what we do is we draw a number line. Let's say here's 0, here's 2, and here's 4, here's -2, -4. So on our number line that we've just drawn, what we do is, because it's talking about x being less than 4, it's talking about any number that is on this side of 4. So it could be 3, it could be 3.5, it could be 0.2, it could be -2,641, right? And that's that's what this line means. Now, whether or not it's an open or closed circle depends on the symbol. If there's no underline on the symbol, it means it's an open circle because it cannot be the number 4. Right? Because 4 is not less than 4, 4 is equal to 4. Well, you're like, well, that's super confusing. What's the purpose of that? Just specificity. So let's take a look at B. B here says x is greater than or equal to -3. So x is greater than or equal to -3. What that means is, on our number line, if we redraw it, we would have 0, 2, 4, -2, -4. It doesn't really matter what interval. We could go by 5s, whatever, by 1. Right, here we're just going by 2, just so we save some time. X is greater than -3. So what numbers are larger than -3? Well, you have -2, 0, 4, 5. All the numbers to the right of -3 are larger than -3. And because it's got the equal sign, so greater than or equal to, what we do here is we would do a solid circle. Okay. So here, -3 is included because it can be equal to -3 too. So notice how in part A, there's no underline, there's no underlying equal sign. This is the equal sign. So they've just gotten rid of the top part. They've only got the bottom part. The last one, x is greater than -3, but less than or equal to 1. Let's write that down. So -3, x, 1. Have a think to yourself before you even draw the number line. What numbers are greater than -3, but less than or equal to 1? Have a think. If you answered with -2, -1, 0, and 1, you are correct. Or any number in between, that's a decimal. So what this looks like is you'll have -4, -2, 0, 2, and 4. We've got an open circle at -3 because it can't be -3. We've got a closed circle because we've got the underlying equal sign at 1. And so we connect the two and we can say x can be any number in between these 2 points. So x could be -2.9, -2.8, -1.5, 0, -0.4, 0.5, whatever it might be. So any number in between these 2 dots could be the x. All right, and that's how we do a number line. Let's get to the inequalities solving for the value. Basically, you treat it like an equal sign and you apply the linear equation laws. So here it's saying, what number take away 2 is less than 9? Can you figure out what number take away 2 is less than 9? Just off the top of your head? I can. Let's find out. So if you didn't pause, feel free to fill this out. If you did pause, let's see if we got it correct. What we do is we write our acronym and we go, there's no brackets, there's no addition. We do have subtraction. So the subtraction is a -2. And what we do is we go x and we chuck the -2 to the other side and we have a +2. And so therefore we can say x has to be less than 11 for this inequality to hold true. So if you think about it, 11 take away 2, okay, that's the number where it's going to be less than 9. Okay, for it to be less than 9. So if it was 10, if it was 9, okay, they're all acceptable. But here we're figuring out at which point is it acceptable. Let's write our acronym again for B. We don't have any brackets. We do have an addition term though, the +4. We throw it to the other side and therefore we have -3x is greater than 7 take away 4. Right, so we've thrown this 4 all the way to the other side. We cross that off. We notice we don't have any subtraction terms. We don't have any division terms. Before we get to the multiplication, let's just simplify this down. So this part here turns into 3. And so we have to ask ourselves, how do we get rid of this -3? So we've got the multiplication of -3. We chuck it to the other side and we would divide by 3. Sorry, -3. The catch-22 is whenever you're multiplying or dividing by a negative, the sign will switch. So see how it's pointing on the right side. Now it's pointing on the left. And so we know x is going to be -1 because 3 divided by -3 gets us -1. And what it's saying is, for this inequality to hold true, x here needs to be -1. All right? Or less, a number less than -1. All right? Let's keep moving. Right. These double inequalities, so these ones with the equal sign underneath, they don't really matter. It's still the same procedure. So we don't have any brackets. We have an addition term here, the +1. So we would go and throw it to the other side, and it would change into a -1 or a -1. This here, it'll be -1, so -2, take away 1. You've got -3, and we can cross that out. So we've gotten rid of the addition term, we don't have subtraction, but we do have division. So to get rid of this division of 3, we would have to throw it to the other side, and we would times it by 3 because the opposite of division is multiplication. And what we would get here is, well, -3 times a +3 is -9. So for this inequality to hold true, the value of a here needs to be -9 or higher. All right. Last one. What do we notice that's different about this last one? The last one has a on both sides. So what that means is we have to get rid of the smaller a term, and yeah, then we can go from there. So what we have here is 3a versus 5a. Which one is smaller? If you answered with 3a smaller, you're correct. So we would take 3a away from 5a. So that would leave us with only 2a on the right side. Because 5 take away 3 gets us 2. We still have our +6, we still have our -1, and then we check if there's any brackets. We don't. On the pronumeral side, do we have any plus terms? We do. So we throw this to the other side. So here we've got -1. The plus term gets chucked to the other side. We have now a -6 and +2a on the right side of the inequality sign. So now that we've got rid of the addition term, we can simplify this down. -1 take away 6 gets us -7. Then we carry the 2a down. Do we have any subtraction terms? No. Do we have any division terms on the pronumeral side? No. But we do have a multiplication of the ×2 here. So what's the opposite of ×2? If you answered with divide by 2, you're correct. And so what we get here is -7 on 2, which is -3.5. For this to hold true, okay, a needs to be larger than 3.5 or equal to, for this inequality up here to hold true. Okay, in your textbook, they're always going to rearrange it and have the a on the left side. So what this means is you would still point the arrow or the inequality sign at the same term. Okay, so if it was pointing at the -3.5, it'll still point at the -3.5. So these are the same. These two parts are the same. All right, have a go at exercise 2G. So let's take a look at the questions. Jump to exercise 2G on page 114. Have a go at 1 all the way through to 7, every second question. We're going to spend 2 sessions on this, and we're probably going to have the test next Wednesday. All right, let me know if you have any questions down below, and have a great day.